Howdy folks, it's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It is the middle of the morning and we are doing an unboxing of North Africa 41 from GMT Games. This is a Mark Simonitch design in his, what people have called the 4X series. Let's take off the shrink. Familiar oyster shucker of power shrink removal +2. There we go. All right, off with the shrink. All right, now we can take a look at the back of the box, and I will zoom into this section here for us to take a look at. So it says there are 2 paper maps. Now, this also comes in a mounted map version. I elected to go for the paper map, save some money, save some shipping weight, etc. Most people, I don't know, maybe prefer mounted maps. I actually prefer paper maps. I'd rather take up less space, less weight. But you know, to each his own. 2 counter sheets, a rulebook and a playbook, 2 6-sided dice, 2 setup and reinforcements, and 2 identical combat results table, train effects chart, player 8 cards. 3 to 12 hours. I guess there is a campaign game. Over here, I think it says it. Yeah, campaign game and enter Rommel and Crusader scenario. So that's always nice when there's a little variety in there. You can control your scope, how much you want to play the game around. Okay, let's make sure we look over here. Middle of the road for complexity scale 5. Middle for solitaire suitability. All right. So we'll have to see from that. And Christian Diedler was the developer. And oh, so Mark Simonitch also did all the graphic art too. All right, let's look inside. Well, is there anything else over here they want to look at? It's Rommel's offensive from March 1941 to December 41. The dash into Egypt, failure to take Tobruk, Allied counterattacks, etc. All right, let's begin. Open. I'm assuming the mounted map one probably has a thicker box, is my guess. Either that or they left out the insert that they often do. So I'm going to zoom back so we can see more of what I'm showing here. And if we need to actually read something in detail, I'll zoom in. Rules of play, playbook. The rules of playbook feels a little thicker. 28 pages, nice index on the back. Love a good index. Examples of play there, credits, abbreviation, that's already always nice. Yeah, sometimes I start from the back, sometimes I start from the front. Victory, optional rules. So there is a page of optional rules. And the scenarios, the details of the scenarios seems relatively simple. So that's because there's those setup cards. It's use the start cards. So easy to refer to, not in the book. So 7 turns for enter Rommel. Crusader. Game like 3 turns. Nice. And the campaign, I don't see here where it necessarily says how long it goes. It may be in there somewhere, but I'm not seeing it. Let me flip back to the front. Table of contents. All right. Intro. And it is nice in the intro. It's a whole whopping 1-sentence intro and then
abbreviations. So it's nice. So a lot of jargon, a lot of acronyms used throughout it, and they've defined them right at the very beginning. Bang. Which a lot of people skip over sometimes, this first page of stuff, but there they are. So if you buy this and you're like, what the heck does TQ refer to? Troop quality, right there. Oh, the map. 8 miles per hex. Each game term running 15 to 16 days. So half a month. Okay, sample units, typical attack, defense, movement allowance, which, I don't know, 90% of all hex encounter war games that have 3 factors across the bottom probably have that layout. Sometimes there's morale stuffed in there. Sometimes movement allowance is dependent on unit type and not printed, or it's printed elsewhere, but this is the standard attack, defense, movement. Special markers, all the nice things. So interesting, we actually have some silhouetted things, so you don't get an armor symbol, you get silhouette of a tank, where you do have recon. There's motorized machine gun. All right. Sequence of play. It's relatively detailed sequence of play here. With the references, that's excellent. That's very good. So you can pop to each specific rules section. That's nice. Now, I'm going to quickly look over to see, do these cards have the sequence of play on them? Now, this was player aid card, various tables. It had the combat results table, the terrain effects chart, done properly, all in one place. You've got the terrain key, the name of it, any effects on movement, combat, notes, etc. This is how you do it, folks. This is a proper terrain effects chart. Thank you very much. Now, you will notice that I tend to not pronounce the acronyms. Sometimes I'll spell them out. So sometimes I'll say CRT, but combat results table, I don't know. Might say CRT when you can say combat results table. I don't know. Terrain effects chart. Don't say tech chart. Don't say crit chart. Even zone of control. I'll sometimes say ZOC. Or I don't like to say ZOC. I mean, EZOCs, ZOCs, ZOC bonds. I prefer not to pronounce acronyms most of the time. There are some exceptions, especially when an acronym becomes the word scuba, radar, laser. But I am not seeing, what was I looking for? Distracted. All right. Oh. Now, those are the same. These were setup cards. I was looking for if there was a sequence of play on a card. Maybe it's on the map. Maybe not. But I totally love having a detailed sequence of play on a card, on a sheet, you know, that's separate from the rule book, especially when it has these levels of annotations with the I mean, it's a detailed sort of a bullet point outline level, but not the details, but it gives you all the references to the rules cases, and so that's ideal. And would have been nice if it had been in the player aids stuff. All right, maybe I have to make one. All right, these rules are online, of course. You go in there and you copy and paste this and make your own. Shouldn't have to though. All right, stacking points. It's a stacking point system. All right, stacking point value the number between 0 and the black box. So black box, and you can have 5 stacking points. Both sides are the same. Markers do not affect. So interesting. Why is this one 0 and this one 1? Neither of them have the black box. Ah, there you go. This rule, free stacking units. 1 silhouetted unit. So the tanks are the 88s. You can stack one of them for free. And then any other additional ones count as a point. So you can get yourself 1 free silhouetted dude stuffed into your stack. That's interesting. I like that. Throw in a little more goodies. So let me breeze on through a little faster the rest of the rules. Trackless desert hexes, off-map boxes, zones of control, limited zones, overlapping zones. That's what they're referring to the Zoc bond. I think in this game, I believe they're not as the same thing as in the other game, as fully strong as a true Zoc bond. I said it. Zone of control bond, overlapping zones, multi-hex combat procedure, combat modifiers, artillery support shifts, fortification markers, yeah, especially Tobruk. All right, detailed description of the combat results. Here, modifiers, determined defense, all right. Retreats, retreat procedure, elimination due to retreat. Disruption, recovery, advance after combat. So depending on the result, you can advance up to 2 or 3 or 4 hexes. Nice penetration. So let's see, what was the DS? DR4. So obviously if they retreat 4, you can advance 4. If they retreat 2. So what's a D1? What's a DS? D1. Defender loses a step and must retreat 2 to 3 hexes, his choice, and becomes disrupted. Wow. All right, DS. Defender shattered. Lose 1 step, determined by the attacker. Wow, okay, so they can focus in and pick one particular unit. Surviving defenders must retreat 4 hexes and are marked in full retreat. Interesting. All right, advance after combat. That's what we were looking at there. Breakthrough combat. So something more after that. Anytime it achieves an advance after combat of 2 or more hexes, allows the attacker to break through combat. Only mechanized units, non-mechanized with trucks may use breakthrough combat. All right. Supply and attrition. Oh yeah, supply, very important. Isolation attrition, out of supply penalties. Artillery support units. Supply points. Replacements. Special units. 88mm flak units. Reconnaissance units. Artillery groups. DAC. The Army Africa Corps. Army Africa. Oh, interesting. This HQ did not have artillery assets. The Rommel unit. Air superiority air units. Long-range desert group. Yeah. Desert rats, right? Rat patrol. Replacements. Reinforcements, removals, conversions. So, this is a 28-page rule book. It seems, medium complexity. Yeah, I forget. It's substantial. It's it's definitely up there. There's a lot of stuff going on. And while unit density might be lower than many other war games, I'm going to take a quick peek at the counter sheets. There are 2, front and back. The alignment looks fine. Proper counter registration. Oh, one's coming out there. Look like they're going to come out relatively fine. We'll have minor to no corner nibs. It looks like the cut's very precise up to the corner. Looking good there. Oh, interesting. Some round counters. These are like little mini displays. Allied markers, access markers. Air superiority. Available assets. Coastal shipping. Rail. Resource points control disrupted. Out of supply. All right, so these are some fortifications. Not non-permanent, so not Tobruk style. All right, so let's look at that. Playbook. Where did I put it? Did I put it somewhere? Those are the cards on the bottom of my stack of cards. Sorry, folks, there we go. Playbook. This looks like a little smaller, only 20 instead of 28 pages. Nice repeated sequence of play there. So I guess because you got your index here in the rules, you have this here, so you can keep that handy. I would just photocopy this onto a thicker cardstock instead of. I mean, you could have this sitting somewhere. I suppose you could put it in a plastic protector sheet or something, or just put that on a cardstock. But that's what I wanted. So at least it's on the back there. That's good. All right. Panzer Army Africa notes. Extended example of play. Excellent, excellent. Ooh, you've gone into turn 2. Multiple turns. They actually played like the whole. No, just they do 2 turns, which is not bad. Ending thoughts. Oh, nice historical map there. Get a little closer, you can see that. All right, so this is a redo of Mark Simonitch's game that he did, The Legend Begins. That was way back in like the early 90s, I'm going to say. I think it was reprinted a couple of different, like Terran games and another one, I can't remember. Maybe even got a Japanese edition version at some point now. So this is a reworking of that. Order of battle, historical notes. Some nice historical pictures. Oh, here's another. There's a nice situational map. I wonder if that's like Rommel drawn himself. I don't know if you've ever read Rommel's memoirs, but he's got a lot of cool maps in there that he did himself. Reminds me of that style. So this easily could have been done by Rommel. It doesn't say in the caption at the bottom. But if you have not read Rommel's called Infantry Attacks, which I don't think is necessarily a exact proper translation, and it's it's his World War I experiences, so it's not his armored warfare experiences, but you know, a lot of artillery in addition to the infantry, but great stuff. Awesome narrative, and well, the end of it, like you can appreciate his aggressiveness, but also it's like, dude, you're so lucky that you're still alive. Well, he's not now. That he made it through that. Just the risks that he was taking, but it just paid off time and time again. Fortune favors the bold, as they say. Okay, well, nice bibliography there. Nice. All right. So let's us look at the map, which will be easier for me to handle because it's paper. You've seen me fidget around here if you've watched other of my unboxings. Odds are, if you're watching this, you've probably seen at least one other Meandering mic unboxing, if not more. Well, it's big and tall. Still, I'm gonna zoom. Well, I've already zoomed out as much as I can. I'm gonna tilt back here, hold it up. So this is the Egypt part. Depression, Alexandria way over there in the end. Oh, good. Another map key there. At least the key, where the effects are on that one chart. We got the turn track. There's Tobruk, Bardia, Mersa Matruh, El Alamein, if you can see it right there. Yeah. The great narrowing, narrow down the front. Yes, this is not a thing you're going to maneuver through. All right, so let's go to the second map, which I'm going to be able to show you both next to each other here. That's because that was long. All right, come on, for that, baby. The Libya portion. All right, that'll stick. So there we go. There's a off-box Tripoli. There's Benghazi right there. Derna, Tobruk. So there's an overlap. So I guess, like if one of the scenarios on one side, one starts over here, you can overlap. So they are 22 by 34, and they do overlap by about 6.5 inches. All right, so that's cool. Nice look. This big desert represented by just the dots. My guess is the dots are there so you can count air ranges. If you're not going to maneuver through that deep desert. Interesting, they do have an actual hex row across the bottom. Maybe they do allow you to maneuver through there, but I don't know. It's like, where do you come out? Nobody knows. Yep. The tracks, the coastal road. Goes the road all the way up around the coast, but the tracks through the middle. See, these don't go anywhere. So this, so you can come up here and then get across, but the track doesn't go through. Sorry, it wasn't quite. See, that track doesn't go through. So it's interesting the effect that might have on tracing your supply and whatnot. And obviously you can. Oh, let's see, here's another one where it doesn't connect here. So that's interesting. Yep. This should be interesting. See the old Simonitch treatment of this topic. So let's fold that puppy up. So, 2 paper maps. Some of you will be enjoying your standard GMT red and blue dice. So I guess if you had no insert, they could, and you've got your 2 mounted maps, could be the same box size, or maybe they have it in a thicker box. I do not know. If you know, let me know. Post a comment. etc. So I want to go back and look real quick here. We're at 25 minutes. Trying to end this up here. Okay, so there are, well, this is replacement. So these are kind of replacements for armor, replacements for motorized units. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, more replacement markers. Air support. All right. So there are 2 and 1. The stacking, the 5 stacking points. Looks like 2 is the max. There is no 3s. Most full infantry brigades or regiments are 2. Not sure what REM. Somewhere in the glossary of terms there, though. This might remember what that was. But we do have, so those are only 1 stacking for, is that a remnant? Is that like a, where they take a loss? Let's see here, 3. Those 1. So the 1 stacking is these battalions, motorized battalions. They have no backstep. And the units that take a loss, they're still taking up their full stacking amount. So you can't take a bunch of damaged, you can't take 5 damaged brigades and stuff them in, they don't go down to 1 stacking point. You still be limited to 2 stacking brigades and 1 other 1 point unit, plus 1 silhouetted tank or anti-tank. Let's see. Yeah, here they are. Is that it? Is that? Yeah, there's just 2. Two 88s. That's it. As separate. I mean, I'm sure some of these units have integrated into them those assets, but as a separate, maneuverable, separable unit, there's just 2 of them. Right? That's all I see. Anyone see any more? So the Allies have no separate anti-tank assets, which obviously had anti-tank guns. Again, they're integrated into other units, but as, yeah, that's it. Just those 2. I've double checked it all. All right. Not much in the way of separate artillery assets. So again, there's a mention of a rule there about calling in artillery support or something from headquarters, but not the DAC. See, there is an acronym that I would pronounce. DAC, D-A-K. Oh, I love it. The Italian. Comando Supremo. Nice. All right, folks. Meandering Mike, Man Cave of This, we are meandering through the counter sheet there. So, again, this was North Africa, 1941, GMT games, just came out, just got this a day or 2 ago. Was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. The Western Desert, March to December, 1941. Medium complexity, medium solitaire suitability. Continuation of the 4X series.
So, all right. Sorry, my counter sheet. Yeah, these things are punching out pretty easy by accidentally gripping the counter sheet. All right, so I'm gonna call it quits there. So to all you good folks, take care, keep the sand out of your tracks, and ciao.